Ever notice how getting work feels personal? And if it's not working, it feels like we're failing at business. So we try to post, we try to post on social media, and nothing's happening. We're not getting the engagement, we're not getting the links, you're not getting comments. Then we try networking, and it feels awkward. You're all these strangers, like we're trying to do all these things that we know we're supposed to do. And then maybe you try ads, you try something over here, but it's all confusing and it's overwhelming. I know that's been my experience. How about you, Caleb? Have you felt any of that?
Oh my word, yeah, it's all the time. It feels like you're just shouting into the wind and nothing's coming back, and then out of the blue, everything just suddenly arrives, and you're like, "Wait a second, this is completely disconnected to the work that I'm actually trying to do here. What's going on? Why do I suck at this?"
For real. Yeah. And we all feel like that, but it's not that we're bad at marketing. It's that we're expecting to be successful too early. We're expecting to be right too early in the game. So with ADHD, it's like getting work isn't about having a strategy first, right? It's about running experiments and seeing the patterns of what works. That's how we operate. Hey, welcome to the Doing Business with ADHD podcast. Have you ever noticed how getting work feels personal, doing work feels overwhelming, getting paid feels awkward, and building wealth feels impossible? It's not because you're bad at business. It's because your business wasn't built for ADHD. Let's change the rules. We want to thank you for coming and joining us back on the Doing Business with ADHD podcast. Welcome back.
Good to be
so
back.
we're going to be talking about experiments and marketing and getting business today. Because our framework is get work, do work, get paid, and grow wealth. And the first part of that is we're talking about getting work, which anybody who's running a business, we know that if you don't have work, it's a hobby. Like if you don't have clients, if you don't have work to do, then we're just spinning our tires. But it often feels like it's the hardest part, is just to get work, to find the people, to find clients. So my background, I've had a couple businesses that I've led, that I've been a part of, that I've owned and sold, and I'm rebuilding my business now, like a new business. I've been at it for about 5 years, and just knowing about myself more and rebuilding these rules. And I know you're launching your business. You've been at it for a few months now, right? Um,
Yeah,
and it's
8 months into it at this point, I
yeah,
think. Yeah, definitely a different vibe having a service business. I think previous entrepreneurial stuff years ago was more of a product base, and that could just kind
right,
of scale a little faster, or I don't know, like you buy the stuff, you sell the stuff. Now you're just like, come on, people, like I've got a decently high margin product or service to offer
yeah,
you, and just need enough of them to come. But yeah, it's been exciting so far, and so far trending above industry norms, like
yeah,
nothing to complain about. But there's still that impatience that's there. Is like things are going great,
yeah,
right? We're paying the bills, client base is growing faster than it's supposed to, but come on, it could be so much more, right? I think that's like there's
yeah,
never any mental space for rest that I afford
yeah.
myself.
Oh man, that's a great point. And I want to jump back to you talked about patience earlier, and that's actually one of the main things when I talk about getting work that I found is that like traditional marketing, traditional advice that people tell you when you're launching a business, I've noticed it boils down to three key things. Like all marketing that people, all the gurus and everything, it really boils down to consistency, patience, and a tolerance for delayed feedback.
Hmm.
Like, oh yeah, you post something. Like if you ever, they're like, well, post on social media and then don't look at it. And I'm like, okay, consistency, patience, and delayed feedback. ADHD is not wired for any of these.
Oh man.
And it's like, okay, so none of those rules are going to work for us. So all of marketing, if it's built on those principles, we go, okay, how do we change the rules to work for us? And one of the things that I've come to realize is that there's a difference between being constant and being consistent. And if you look at like the tides in the ocean, right? It's very consistent. There's high tides, there's low tides. They happen at the same time, but it is not constant. Like those crushing waves, they're high, they're low, they're all over the place. At different times of the day, you're going to see something different. but there's a rhythm to them. And what I found is that with ADHD, we have tides as well. And we're good at noticing patterns, but we're not good at documenting data. So if you kind of look at it and you go, okay, well, how can you be consistent? Well, not the way that, traditional advice says be consistent. But it's like, okay, well, how can we be consistent? Usually it's get it on our calendar and then have a meeting with yourself to knock out the task, to do the thing, right? And then patience. No, like we are built for novelty. We are built for, like just quick action, moving fast, getting into something, getting out. And we tend to be quickly discouraged. So like that idea of if we aren't getting quick feedback. So if we post something on, say you post on LinkedIn and like 30 people like it and comment and it starts to blow up and you're kind of like, that worked. Immediately we're like, do it again. Like we know that it worked. But I posted something the other day and it had like a slow uptick. And then all of a sudden, like I actually got like 6 comments today. And it's like a week later. And I'm like, I had already given up on the post, right? I had forgotten about it. I had given up. And the other thing is like, I know how this works. And I post and I'll sit there and like look at my phone for like a minute, like waiting for like the heavens to open up and everybody to show up on my post. And it never happens. But
That's it.
it's this idea that we have to track longer windows. Like we have to give ourselves time to learn. And what I found is when you launch a business, most marketing tactics are actually bad advice if you have ADHD. Because when you started your business, Caleb, did you need leads or did you need customers?
Customers, conversions.
Customers, right. That's sales. And you go, okay, the point of marketing is to get people to know, like, and trust us. The point of sales is to get people to pay us. And I thought, okay, I don't have time to begin with. Like, I will get very discouraged launching a business. I need customers. I don't need to do all of the long planning, long game marketing where it's like, I'm going to post on social media and I'm going to do these things and in 3 months be in a conversation with somebody. Now, don't get me wrong. Those things are good and in 3 months you'll be wishing that you did them.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I couldn't expect those long game plays, all of the marketing plays, to bring me customers. I needed wins faster. And the customers I deal with now, that is one of the first things we talk about is like, if you need wins faster, you have to go to people. And it's like, okay, well, where are the people? And as you were launching your business, Caleb, did you find any success going to people who you already had relationships with that already knew either how to pay you, had business relationships, they already trusted you? Like, did you find any traction there?
Yeah, great question. So obviously, like my firm's built very much clearly around the ADHD business owner niche, and so I love to say frequently I'm the first and as far as I know of only registered investment advisory that targets ADHD business owners. Pretty sure the rest of them just don't want to deal with all the chaos sometimes, but like these are my people, right? That being said, I still do have a lot of local network comprising some of my own business here. And as crazy as it is, social media for me was not a go find new people thing. I'm sure it will be someday. A lot of things I'm baking into it, and it already is starting to. Certainly within the ADHD crowd's already having lots of referrals coming over that way. But initially, when I was just getting started, it's more of an activation than an outright prospecting. It's just saying, here's people who already know me. Here's a little taste of what I do.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that sounds like something that I need here. And even just direct outreach to like texting people in my contact list. I remember there's
Yeah.
actually one person from a former job. At some point I said, hey, anybody I've ever worked with knows how I work. That's a good sign of work ethic. So let's see what happens. And I remember, and it has been pretty good actually. Those people have been good converting. But there was one whose number I didn't have for whatever reason. So I went out of my way as I was just thinking back through like the 30 people at this one place and went and messaged them on Facebook. Lo and behold, they're a client today. And it's like, wow, if I hadn't
Yeah.
taken that extra little step there to go grab that person, it's actually happened 2 or 3 times already in a very
That's
similar
awesome.
manner. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I always, when I say you're looking when you're launching a business, um, we have to think about things differently. I've said that before. When I started my business, I had a sticky note on my monitor because everybody's like, "Who's your ideal client?" Who's like, people kept asking me that, and I just got really frustrated. And I finally wrote down my ideal client is the next person to pay me. Like when I was launching, I was like, I don't like. It's just who is it? That's my ideal client. I mean, 5 years ago, that's where it started. And since I've adjusted, I've honed, I've got figured out who I serve really well. As my network and referrals and all of that has grown, it has gotten better. But the idea of who do you start with? Where do you go to? When you need to pull the lever, when you need more leads, when you need more sales specifically, where do you go? And I like to think about that. The point of marketing is know, like, and trust. And the point of sales is paid. And I think, okay, well, let's go backwards. If we think of those as like rocks across a river, and you say, who do I know in the past that knows how to pay me or has had a working relationship with me? You know, some kind, they know me professionally. They've worked with me. Like you said, they knew your work ethic. They knew there was some level of not just trust, but they knew how to have like some kind of a business relationship with you. And I say, go to them first. I came up with this idea because when I was thinking about when I was a kid, the best time to get my allowance was when my dad had his wallet open. So I used to go to the hardware store with my dad every week on Saturday morning because I knew he was going to get his wallet out. And when he got his wallet out to pay at the hardware store, I could ask for my allowance, right? And it's the same idea where it's like people are going to pay you when their wallet's out. Well, people who know how to pay you are most likely to pay you again. So I say start with that rung, and then you go to the next, you go out one more, and that's like, who are people that already trust you? Like, who has received from you in some other way? Who already has that relationship? These are going to be a lot faster to close. And you think about the people that are around you, that love you, that are part of your community, part of your network, they want us to succeed. So they're the ones that we start with. And I saw a video of, I don't even know who it was, but he said, if you're going to start a business, the first thing you do is you just record a quick video and say, hey, I'm starting this business. This is what I'm doing. Or you update, say, this is the business I'm chasing right now. And this is what I'm doing. And I'm just sending it to everybody that I know, all of my contacts, and saying, if you know anybody that could use this, please share it with them. Like, that's awkward. That is awkward to do. But if you know somebody who sends that to you, it's not as awkward. You know, right. They're in your network. You're like, oh, good for them. And then you might think of somebody in your network that could reach out to them, right? And with ADHD, it's very common. There's this, it's called rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Real quick, we are not therapists. Caleb and I are not therapists. We are just two guys that have, we're on this journey with you. We've been on the journey with ADHD, and we just want to, we're just opening up and sharing what we know. So there you go. There's the disclaimer. We're not therapists. But rejection sensitivity dysphoria, this means we have grown up expecting to be rejected, expecting to be outcast. Like, we expect things to not work, and we start to act beforehand. We prep for the rejection before we take the action. And even if you don't have that diagnosis, everybody with ADHD has, we have some of that scarring from growing up. And a lot of times when it comes to getting business, we start to negotiate ourselves out of it. We convince ourselves not to make an offer to people. We convince ourselves that we are going to annoy them, that we're going to be sleazy, salesy, that, we don't want to be that person. So we tend to be too slow to make an offer, to make a sale to someone. Or if we do make an offer, we're afraid to follow up. We're afraid to just reach back out and, see how it's going, to see if they're still interested. And we also tend to not be clear that we are making an offer to help them, that we are making a business offer. Sometimes they think that we're being friendly, that we're being a nice guy, that we're just showing up. And it's like, I do that for a living. Like, I can actually help you. I have found that saying those words will change the way people look at it. Like, they might be talking about working on their business, and I'm like, this is actually what I do. I hop on calls and I talk to people about their business with ADHD. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, I will meet with people weekly or monthly or whatever. Like, I will tell them, this is what I do. And they go, oh, and I'm like, I thought I had been making offers for 6 months, and they thought I was just being friendly.
So like getting friend zoned, basically.
Yeah, completely. You get friend zoned, and they're like, "Oh, that's a really nice guy, and he helps other people." And I'm like, "But I could help you." But I was trying to, and I hear this all the time. We try to not be pushy because we're afraid we'll be rejected, or we're afraid we'll burn that bridge or whatever. But we never actually make an offer. We think that we do. And my favorite way to have people realize this is to say, if you record your calls, if you record a sales call or something like that, like go back and watch it and see if you actually made an offer. Did you tell them this is the thing you can buy? And what we find is we almost never do that. It's so unnatural for us. And then we get mad and upset and frustrated that people aren't buying. So
Wow.
have you, you're thinking through that.
Yeah, you kind of made me remember this story from college, actually. I went away on this weekend long retreat with like a bunch of students and professors out to this cabin. And I was hanging out with this girl who would later on become my wife. I was very much interested in. I could tell she was interested in me, and I thought it was obvious I was as well. But then I overheard two guys there, a little bit older. They kind of like looked out for her and the other people around. A really cool community. And I overheard them talking and like, oh, can definitely tell she's into him, but I don't know about him. What's going on with him? Yeah, I don't know. And so one of them pulled me aside at one point, and he was like, "Dude, what's going on with you and Phyllis Jean?" And I was like, "Oh, what have you seen? What do you think?" And he's like, "It looks like can't really tell what you're doing here, and want to make sure you have her best interest." I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually about to ask her out next week, and have been really like thinking about how to do it for a month at this point, and just trying to figure
Yeah.
it out." He's like, "Oh, whoa, okay. Have you even talked about it?" No, no. I'm just going like, "Oh, wow." So
Yeah.
I think it's like
It's
the
a,
same thing. Like I had no idea that I wasn't being as obvious as I thought I was,
yeah.
and so in like business, you're just afraid to ask for the business. You feel like you're being really obvious, and the other person apparently is just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this Caleb dude's just hanging around. He's kind of nice, but I can't tell what he's thinking."
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I was the opposite. I just flat out asked my wife, and she was like, "No." She like when we first started, she was like, "No." Like she had no idea I was going to ask her out. Like it was completely blindsided her, and I was like, "Oh man, I thought I had signals going there." Um,
That's hilarious. Maybe some of that, like, it could easily be the Asperger's too. I never know what's ADHD, what's
yeah.
Asperger's.
Oh no, I mean it's
Yeah.
complete. I think you're right. I thought that I had been sending signals and making offers along the way, and then when it was like, "Hey, you want to do something?" It was like she was completely blown away. And kind of to
Funny.
what you're saying, like there are a lot of times that it's called rumination, where we just basically chew on stuff and we go over and over again. And my wife pointed this out the other day that rumination and meditation, it's basically the same skill. It's just one of them is positive and the other one never moves forward.
Hmm.
And I've realized that a lot of times when I'm thinking about clients or when I'm thinking a sales pitch, I ruminate in my conversations in my own mind, but I never actually move it forward with an offer. Like one of my favorite ways to do this is if you're talking to somebody, and this fits how we see a pattern with ADHD. We're really great at noticing patterns happening around us. And you're having this conversation, then you go, "It sounds like this problem is in your way. I recommend this." And you think about how simple that sounds, but it's almost a formula for me. So it'd be like, it sounds like this is a recurring problem. It sounds like this is the problem that you can't see past. This is the problem that just keeps grinding in front of you. I recommend coaching. I recommend, this is what's happening in your thing. I recommend you talk to a financial planner and just have a horizon plan so that you're not like scared all the time of what's happening or just making decisions on the fly. Like set a destination in the distance, and then you can start working on it step by step. And it's funny because you say, "It sounds like this is a problem." Yeah, I recommend this, or you can say, "I recommend this." Or sometimes if I don't quite know the person yet, I might say, "Do you mind if I offer something?" And if you say that, they typically say yes because you've been listening. You're good for. "Do you mind if I offer something?" Then you have their permission to make an offer. And you're actually saying the word offer, so they know it's going to be an offer. Again, it feels really awkward, But
Yeah.
if I don't disrupt, then I don't know that I did it.
That's interesting. It's like intentionally breaking the status quo. Like people are just going to hang around, never really
Yeah.
doing what's in their best
Well,
interest. A lot of times, like they'll never go get the
the
coaching, the financial advice. They need it. You just
yeah,
need to intentionally, like, hey, break the status quo. You know you need it. You know you've just been procrastinating on it. Let me help.
yeah. And it's like if they acknowledge that they need help, we have to say, "May I help you? This is how I can help you." Because making that offer, again, we're running with ADHD. So the normal rules don't work for us. We actually spend
Mhm.
so much time trying not to be sleazy, not to be pushy. Like, excuse me, we spend so much time trying to be liked that we
Yeah.
forget to serve or offer. Like, we are not clear with our offer. And then the other way I see it really show up with ADHD is if you do make an offer and then following up. Caleb, have you ever had any problem? How much do you love following up? Like, you're like, okay, I talked to somebody. Where does follow up land on your like things you love to do?
Oh man, it's I don't even know like what's the lowest I can put there. Like that's where all the money is though. That's the
Right.
crazy thing.
Well,
Yeah, follow up is
like,
just
right. Logically, we know that.
yeah.
And there's lots of science, there's lots of things behind it. But when it comes to following up, like just reaching out and following up with people, um, the do you feel good when you think about following up? Or when it's
No.
like, right? So you send somebody an email or you send them a proposal, and then what?
And then often crickets or you might hear
Yeah,
back, "Oh, thanks, but oh, I just feel like a huge nag or like you're just trying to get it in
right.
the wallet, right?"
We
And
feel
that's
like if
the
we say, if we do anything, we feel like a nag, we feel like we're being annoying, we feel needy.
yeah.
But at the same time, we also sit there and often beat ourselves up about being rejected. We
Yeah.
choose that we are rejected, and they haven't actually told us that we're rejected. Like we're just there. So this is what there's a great book. It's called How Good Humans Sell by a lady named Catherine Brown. No relation, but great lady. And in her book, I learned how to. I've actually met her, gotten to know her, and I've learned how she approaches the follow up, and she
Mm.
views it as a kindness. And I started thinking about that. And one day I was actually ruminating on, man, I sent this proposal. I don't know about following up. I don't know what to do. And my wife texted me at the grocery store. And this is where it dawned on me. I had talked to there's a list on the fridge. I took a picture of it. My wife texted me what I needed to buy at the grocery store. Or my wife told me verbally what I needed to buy at the grocery store. Well,
Hmm.
I'm walking into the grocery store and I get a text message. This is hours later. I get a text message of the shopping list. It's actually she texted me a photo of the list. So I could be mad that my wife was nagging me,
Hmm.
but that never even crossed my mind. I was grateful that I wasn't going to forget something. I had gotten busy. I had gone, I had been in a workshop. Now I was picking up groceries on the way home, and my wife reminded me of the expectation,
That's so
and it
helpful.
just got buried. And I thought, I love that my wife does that for me. Like she knows that I'm busy, whatever, and she did a kindness of reminding me. And that's what Catherine Brown was talking about: is following up is a kindness, and you can
Mm.
set it on your calendar to remember to follow up, because with ADHD, one of the biggest things with our working memory that we're going to do is to remember people is the hardest thing. We will
Yeah.
remember things, but not when we're supposed to. So
Yep.
remembering to remember is, that's the tricky part. And I have some lists, I have ways that I do that, but I like to set a calendar meeting with myself. It's a meeting, but I show up to that meeting and I just start responding. I follow up with people. And it's, some people have a follow up Friday, some people have a touch in Tuesday, whatever. Just if you put on your calendar, like, this is the time that I follow up with people, and it's a kindness.
Mm.
Now, don't start it, with the annoying things that people always do, like bringing this back to the top of your inbox, like that kind of stuff. Just that if it annoys you, it'll probably be annoying. But if you can find a way that says something like, I usually start them with something that happened and something that triggered me to remember them. For one client, it's like, hey, I heard Foo Fighters have a new album coming out. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm.
Like, that alone will bring you back up to the top of the list. But you can reach out and say, hey, I saw this and I thought of you. Are you guys still interested in moving forward with the proposal? So
Wow.
saying, something external happened. I thought of you. Where are you?
That's
Like,
huge. Yeah.
it doesn't feel as awkward as other things like bumping this to top. Are you still there? Like,
Uh,
I had one the other day, somebody, like, I hadn't replied to them, and they came back and they said, you know, they started talking about, like, ghosting or whatever, and I was like, okay, you're now blocked. Like, that was
yeah.
just annoying.
Just
um,
shaming me. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, nope, we're done. But and it wasn't even something, they were just cold following
Right.
up. Like, it was just a cold sequence. But anyway, that idea of, like, following up with people and remembering to follow up is has been key for me and a lot of my clients because, you know, that's part of getting work. And I would say 70-80% of contracts in a service-based business actually come from follow-up and not even like the first follow-up. I'm talking like most of my biggest clients, my longest relationships have come from the fifth or seventh follow-up.
Yeah, I think that's the industry stat across most service businesses. The fifth touch base is the final sales follow up.
And it's
Crazy.
like, and the thing is, if other people quit, are you the one who doesn't?
Yeah.
And that for me has been the determining factor for a lot of the contracts I've gotten is just following up. But it's not following up in a sleazy way. It's following up in a personal, hey, I thought of you, checking in. And there are some times that I do the last chance email where I'm like, hey, especially if you have a proposal that's good for 30 days, following up at 28 days and being like, hey, that proposal was good for 30 days. Just want to let you know there are 2 days left on that. If you have
Yeah.
any questions, if you guys want to be moving forward. Another thing I will do often is remind people of what they said they wanted and that the proposal or the contract is how we are going to get there.
That's
So
crazy.
following up and saying, hey, I know you said you had a revenue goal you guys wanted to reach in 2026. If you're still wanting to do that, I still recommend this coaching package. I still recommend this to get you there.
Right. Tying back
And that
what they want
proposal's
out of it.
this is what they wanted. They haven't made progress without you. Like, you have made progress. I'm still here. Are you ready to start moving forward? Like, that's how we think. We don't think linearly, but we do think logically. It's like we can say this goes to this goes to this. We see those connections, those causations. And a lot of my follow-up are just reminding them of those causations. And then one of my favorite things to do that has really unlocked my business is when people are the way I categorize them, as I'm going through and making leads. It's now, not yet, and never. And the idea is, as I'm interacting with them, if they could never be a customer, they're never. That's fine. I don't need to follow up with them, don't need to waste their time, don't need to spend my time. Like, they're a never. But if they're a now, there are very few. It's like, I forget what this statistic is, it's like 10% or less of people are at a moment that they can buy from you when you're engaging with them. Well,
Totally.
if they're a now, then great, have that sales conversation. But if they're a not yet, figure out when maybe. Like, can you follow up with them? When would that be? And then the other thing about not yets is stay in contact and then have hand raisers. Have ways that you say, hey, I'm offering this thing. Do you know anybody who's interested? And you reach out to people and they might connect people, but really it's, if they raise their hand, if they open the email, you can see who opens the emails. If they open the email, then you go, okay, now let's put them in a sequence over here. Let's check and see if they're interested in that download. Is now the time for them to be a customer? And one of the ways that I've done this is if somebody says no, that they aren't ready to move forward, I'm like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? They said, oh, well, I think we're gonna try this ourselves. We're gonna work on some of our messaging. We're gonna look at this. We're gonna just try to figure out the operation system of our business on our own. And I'm like, okay, that's great. You've read some great books. It's totally possible. Normally, when I see people do this, it takes a full quarter to get into it, but usually by 60 days, they know if this is going to work or not.
Yeah.
And they usually say, yeah, I think that we should know by 60 days. I said, all right, in a couple weeks, I'm going to shoot you an email just to check in and cheer you on. Is that okay? And they say, yeah, that's okay. That sounds great. So I will, on my calendar, go ahead, put a note on myself to remind myself to email them. So then a couple weeks in, if it's going to be, say, 60 days, at 6 weeks in, 7 weeks, whatever, I will go ahead and send them an email and ask them how it's going. Hey, when we talked, this is where you guys were. This is what you were trying to get done. I'd love to hear how it's going. And that email alone has gotten me a ton of, I would say 75% of my business has come from that email.
Wow.
Because I remembered what they hoped for. I checked in with them. And a lot of times I'm like, hey, I'd love to just celebrate how things are going. And almost every time they email me, oh, I'm so sorry. They start with an apology that I let them down, or that they let me down. And I'm like, no. And now here's the thing. You can do this and be sleazy and just do it as a manipulation play. But I truly want them to be successful. And I'm just following up. This is a way that I naturally go, hey, how's that going? And it's a way that I can remember to reach out and I remember to remember them because I put it on my calendar and I reach out and say, hey, how's that plan going? How's that project? How's that experiment that you're running? How's that going? And if they come back and say, oh yeah, it's not working. And I had one guy that just replied immediately. He said, it's not working. Is your proposal still valid?
That's awesome.
And I was like, yes. Wow. And we started working together the next week because I remembered and I followed up. But even though they said no, I still had a reason to follow up with them. And it wasn't sleazy. It was like, I want you to succeed. And real quick, the way that I thought of this, the putting them on the calendar to follow up, at first I felt like that was dirty. And then I realized every year on my birthday, I get a card from my grandma. Because my grandma put my name on the calendar. And then a month ahead of time, whenever she bought a card. And then 2 days before my birthday, she dropped it in the mail so that it arrived pretty much on my birthday. And if anybody says my grandma's sleazy, I'm going to punch them in the mouth, right? So it's like, that is not a thing. I do not condone violence. But it's just this idea that it's like, it's okay to remember people. And it's okay to have tools that help us remember people. And then if somebody tells you that they wanted something and that they were going to start working toward it, it's a good person who follows up and says, hey, you were excited. You were working toward this. How's that going?
Right. Like, that's huge. That's how the business, I just got a no on setting up a 401k plan for a business just this past week. And he said, yeah, the boss thinks maybe follow up in 6 months. You might be at a place to do that. And I said, all right, awesome. That sounds good, man. And I instantly scheduled a text to him for 6 months in the future. Now, I like your approach better. I'm just kind of lazy sometimes. And so I just do the schedule a message. But then sometimes I just kind of get stuck if I forget to
I will schedule things as well, schedule emails and stuff like that as well at times. It's kind of a hack on myself, Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, I always think when you talk to pastors or whatever, and they're like, they say that they say they pray for everybody, and I'm like, I think they pray at that moment, and that's it. Sometimes it's kind of like they throw up a prayer right then, and that's because how do they remember everybody, But it's kind of that same thing with our ADHD. Like, if we depend on 6 months from now, Caleb, to remember to reach out to that person, we're letting ourselves down and we're letting them down. But the expectation is, how do we put a trigger? How do we externalize something to remind us? Either it be a calendar reminder to send it, or you can schedule it to go out at that time. Mm-hmm. I think any of it's good. It's setting an expectation and then living towards success. And like I said, we just have to have different rules because 6 months down the road, you're not going to even remember ever talking to that guy unless there's a documentation and a reminder of it. So I love that. 100%. So anyway, I could keep going forever, but we like to keep these tight. The idea of get work is you have to externalize some things. And you go, how do you get work? Well, start with the closer connections. It's going to be awkward because you have some kind of a relationship with people and it has to be disrupted. To have change, you have to have disruption. So there has to be, if you want business, you have to be the person who disrupts the status quo right now. And sometimes that is just making an offer. Asking them, have you ever considered hiring somebody to help with that? That is one of my favorite questions because they can say yes or no. In either way, you're now telling them, people pay me to do this. Like, it's real quick, but you have to disrupt because people aren't going to drift into naturally going, can I throw money at you? Like, right. They're not going to just naturally get there. And that's how we get friend zoned a lot of times. Or if we've never made an offer, they don't know what we do.
That's huge.
So they're like, if you don't make an offer for them, then they don't know what they're saying yes or no to. So they just default to never asking, never doing. Like, we just keep floating down the river. And then following up. if they say most no's are just not yets. Now, don't be the annoying person who's following up, hitting them all the time. Like, don't do that. But just think, can I remind them? Silence, that's just they haven't replied. It could be a kindness to follow up and check in on them. Because we like it. Think about the person who just randomly texts you. And you're like, man, we haven't talked in a while. Somebody just randomly... I have a guy that I knew years ago. Haven't talked to him in probably 2 years. And he just randomly texted me out of the blue. He saw a movie, thought of me, and just was like, how are you doing? And you know what? We ended up talking about what he's doing now, and he made an offer of his business of what he's doing. But we reconnected, and I said, how is it going for you? What are you doing these days? And he explained it. And I was like, you know what? That sounds really cool. It's just not where I am right now. But I know what he does, and I know who he serves, and I know potentially people who, down the road I could connect him with. See? But it's like, with ADHD, we have random thoughts that spark and fire and all this kind of stuff. Well, if you think of somebody, if you remember somebody you used to work with, start a conversation with them. They know that we have the random thoughts. They know that we have awkward moments. They know us. But if we lean into that and we use that as part of our system, these are the people I think of. I'm just reaching out to people. It can be sporadic. That's fine. When you're starting your business, when you're growing your business, when you want more sales, just text people, call them, email them out of the blue. They're used to us just sitting there and being like, squirrel, I want a popsicle. Whatever it is, they're used to that. So if we spark a random connection, a random conversation, that's being us. That's what we're great at. That is the disruption, because most likely their business or their life, there's some kind of stuckness. And they need a disruption to trigger change. With ADHD, we are that disruption. We are designed to disrupt things. So lean into that with the initial conversations, with your communications, with your content, and follow-up. Pick channels that you can actually manage. And usually I would say they start with email, text, those direct communication channels. Those are the ones that come to us more naturally. They're not as structured, big planning calendars. So anyway, I'm gonna stop there. What where you are right now, Caleb? What do you think for getting business? What is the first step for you? You think right now it's okay, getting business.
Yeah.
Either idea or what do you need to do?
First step right now. So I know we're going to go a lot deeper into this in future episodes. So just in the interest of time, I'm going to try and keep it short. I feel like the first step for me is just discipline and trying to actually be on top of it and doing those consistent behaviors. And I know that that's just antithetical to us, but it's just that messy medium where I find a lot of solopreneurs getting stuck of oh, I have all this business now that I'm trying to do the work.
Yeah.
Because I've already gotten the work, but now I'm really interested in this whole getting work thing. And that's super fun. And I need to do more of that too, to grow. But now I'm also got all this other stuff to do, but maybe not quite enough to hire somebody yet, possibly, but
For sure.
kind of weighing all this. I'm excited to talk more about that in the next episodes here.
Yeah. One thing that crossover between get work and do work is once you get work, we focus on that. We stop getting work. But in specifically service-based industries, the get work, those efforts usually have a 30 to 90-day lag time of when you actually close the work. So that means if you get stuck doing the work and you're like, oh, I need more clients. Well, the day that you need clients is too late to start looking for clients.
Yes.
And that's what we forget. But if you can, like I said, if you can have a Tuesday or a Friday and you have an hour a week or something like that, you're like, this is a meeting and I'm just going to churn the machine a little bit. And the idea is you just have that set meeting where you churn the machine a little bit. You do some get work. And if you have that scheduled and you just do a little bit of get work stuff, then what that means is that pipeline will have leads in it. It'll have conversations in it. So when you need to do sales, you've already been that's already flowing. You're not using an empty system. So
that's huge.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, we need to wrap up because it's time, and we told people we'd keep it short.
Yeah, hey, we gotta keep it short. I can hear my kids melting down out there at dinner time. Not a good
Nice.
situation. So yeah, I gotta go intervene, I'm sure.
All right. Well, we just want to sign off, guys. Thanks for joining us on the Doing Business with ADHD podcast, where we're gonna chase some squirrels, and we're just gonna talk about what does it mean to get work, do work, get paid, and grow wealth. Because the whole point of having a business is that you have money at the end of the day that you can put to work for you. So hang in there.
See you next time.
Hey, welcome to the Doing Business with ADHD podcast. Have you ever noticed how getting work feels personal, doing work feels overwhelming, getting paid feels awkward, and building wealth feels impossible? It's not because you're bad at business. It's because your business wasn't built for ADHD. Let's change the rules.